Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon here, coming to you live from my virtual podcast room, which I don't know if anybody has seen any of the podcasts that we have. And then I'm pretty excited because Tim James, your podcast room, actual room, is really on point, dude. How you doing?
Well, it's not 100% on point.
It's getting closer, though. It's getting closer.
Justin dropped the sign off about a month ago. I got to put it up on the wall still. But this is from my other podcast, The Health Hero Show. So we were just talking about that. I'm going to get one. We need to get ones made for the Health and Wealth podcast. Then I can slap that up on the wall when we do the show and then interchange it when I do my other show. I thought that'd be cool. Then eventually, I'm going to be building a podcast room. I'm actually moving back to Eastern Oregon. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you were saying that you're building out or something in your parents' house or on their land or something, right?
Yeah, so my parents are 81 and they own their property outright, and they're just getting up there where I need to help them. Like the winters can be tough shoveling. They just can't do it. Yeah. It's kind of like that Alan Jackson song says, what was it like? He can't see anymore. She can barely sweep the floor. Yeah. Like my dad has macular degeneration in his eyes and can't literally see very well. Like I'll sit across the table from him during Thanksgiving. He's like, Tim, is that you there? He doesn't know. And it's like 4 feet away, you know?
Wow.
It's just like, imagine going through that. That's why, we talk about the Health and Wealth podcast. We're excited to have our guest on here today. We'll get to you in a minute there, Brad. We love you, buddy. But so I just I'm gonna you guys, Carter, you helped me set up the trust, right, for my parents. We have all the assets in there, but what I realized is on the properties, on the houses, there's that 3-year look back period, right, for Medicaid.
Yep.
So for the state, what we decided to do is, instead of putting the house into the trust, I'll be talking to our estate planning attorney that you hooked us up with, Sierra Lister.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm just going to purchase the property myself, get it out of my parents' name completely, and I'm going to set up my own trust. So you're going to have another client, me.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, as the Enrichers are coming in today, thank you for joining us for another show and everything. We're going to get maybe a little bit into that, but I do want to go ahead and introduce our guest today. Mr. Brad Mendel from Chicagoland. He has recently moved, actually, out to the suburbs. And we were just talking pre-show about the fact that he's got a little bit of a Hanukkah festivities or something going on today. Brad, how are you doing, bud?
Doing good. Just enjoying the beginning of winter. It gets dark here at like 4:15 in the afternoon these days and gets cold, so.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I moved out here from Kansas City, and I remember after I had forgotten, because I was just back there, I went to a Chiefs Cowboys game, actually, which was a lot of fun whenever I was back in Kansas City a couple weeks ago. But I had forgotten that when you change your clocks, it's like dark almost instantaneously right during daylight savings ending. Is that what it is? Because we don't change our clocks out here, so I forget.
All right, can somebody tell me why the hell we got to change our damn clocks?
Come on, Brad.
You don't wake, so you're not driving in the morning in the dark. On your way to work, everybody would oversleep. They would sleep in, and they wouldn't get to work on time.
I mean, I just don't. It's just such a nightmare because every year, sometimes I used to do it myself, but it's a pain in the butt, and then everybody misses like appointments for 2, 3, 4 days because of that.
Yeah,
it just messes everybody up.
Yeah, my daughter was waking up at 5 a.m. every morning. That was no fun.
Oh, she's in the 5 a.m. club. That's good though.
Not for me.
Would you rather your daughter wake up at 5 a.m. or sleep until noon and go to bed at 5 a.m.?
I don't know. It's debatable.
Well, hey, Brad, thank you very much for joining us today. We got a chance to initially meet one another. Man, I guess it's been a few months ago now, but thanks for coming on to the Health and Wealth podcast show. We really are excited about being able to hear your backstory. What got you into the financial services business. I mean, obviously, I've done some conversations with you and everything. I know it's sort of a family business now. So why don't we share with the enrichers? Take us back to what it was like, growing up. Your dad started this business and everything, but I think you've got a previous story even before you got into financial services in the first place, and where you were headed before you eventually ended up taking over the family practice. So share a little bit with the enrichers on, what sent you down this path, other than the fact that your dad was the founder.
Yeah, I mean, my dad started the business in 1989. I was 7 years old, and I always wanted to set up my own individual path. I wanted to get out of the Midwest, so I went to Boston University for college. I didn't want to go to business school because they all wore, sport coats and khakis, and I wanted to wear a hoodie and sweatpants. So I went into computer engineering, ended up transferring into computer science, and really wanted to get into project management from an IT perspective. And so I worked for about 2.5 years after college and moved back to Chicago. I worked for 2 small IT consulting firms and just helped, small to mid-sized businesses with their computers and their technology. At that point, it was, you got a scanner, you need to get that set up and make sure you can store some of your files digitally. It was very, early 2000s. But as we moved forward, one of my clients, asked me if I wanted to come work for them, because I would meet him for lunch, outside of work, once a quarter. And, I was getting frustrated that I wasn't getting what I wanted to out of being an IT consultant. And, they do retirement plan services, TPA work. And he said, I think you'd be a good actuary. You come in, you're going to add value. You're going to help us with your computers and our IT, and you'll learn from me. And, we're small, we're growing. And, I think you'd do a good job with our clients. So I was there for about 7.5 years. And I went from knowing nothing about being an actuary to passing the 3 actuarial exams required to be a pension consultant. And then after about 4.5 years or 5 years, I was running their pension practice, doing new business development, running all the client relationships and managing, a team of 2 or 3 people, just making sure everything got done. And the one partner on the pension side, who, I still stay in touch with today, loved that I just took care of everything for him. But I was working mostly with financial advisors and accountants. It was like, it's like being in an accounting business. You're working, hard a lot of the year, and there's breaks, there's ebbs and flows, but you're getting billed hourly. There's no leverage in that business model. You have to leverage people, and my dad, had a health scare. They thought he had pancreatic cancer, and he was 63 years old, and he needed, some sort of backup plan. His clients really needed him to have a backup plan. He talked to other people about something, in the past. He had a guy he worked for in the late 70s who was a real pioneer in the independent money management space. Managing individual stock portfolios for individuals in the late 70s was not, very common. It wasn't even common in 1989 when my dad started his business. He was a fee-only advisor in 1989. He custodied assets with, big brokers and had, discounted transactions, which was probably a couple $100 to trade at that point. It's crazy how far we've come. Yeah. And he was just picking stocks for clients, building stock portfolios for clients at that point in time. And that's, he had gotten into bonds and diversified a little bit of his business into being more of, managing his client's entire net worth by the time I joined him in 2013. And it was actually a hard decision. My wife said to me, you're on track to becoming a partner at your current firm. You really love the people you work for. You like what you do. You're good at it, but you love your dad and you actually have a great relationship, the 2 of you. And you have an opportunity to have better work-life balance, to probably make a similar amount of money and work directly with people versus with mostly accountants and financial advisors. And I felt like they have more people. But I'm helping their clients.
I'm helping their advisors.
I'm helping their clients versus having a direct impact on the individual on the other side who's receiving the service as much.
Sure.
And your clients in the side of the business that we were on were, it was like a 5 to 10 year relationship typically, versus in wealth management, in the independent RIA space, hopefully we're working with you for 25 to 30 years. Which to me was attractive, as well as you could leverage yourself. I felt like more in his business than I could in the TPA business. So I just decided, I said, I can always go back and do it. There's not many actuaries these days. A lot of people in the pension consulting business. There's a lot of financial advisors, but I gave it a shot. I went and got my M.B.A. I took CFA 1. And then while taking the CFA 1, I met a lot of people in the industry, and they said, you really need to be a financial planner in this business. And so, naturally being an actuary, financial planning kind of fit pretty well in my bucket of skills.
Sure.
And so my dad was already a CFA. It was like, we need to add the core competency of financial planning. And we already started doing financial planning for clients on a very rough level, more spreadsheets than actual software. We were evaluating the different software options that were out there. Because we were getting questions from clients who were in their, early 60s to mid 60s, and they're thinking about retiring, wanting to know, can I retire? Just the basic questions, and so we started doing very basic financial planning. We've expanded to do a lot more comprehensive financial planning, getting more involved in estate planning, and doing those things over the last several years. And, great timing. I bought the practice from my dad March of 2020.
Oh, wait.
So
why does that date ring a bell to me?
So we had the transaction all in place.
March Madness.
Effective March 1st of 2020.
Wow.
So the first few months of managing the business was a little crazy. Me and my wife trading off, watching my daughter, trying to manage. I sent an email to all my clients. I said, 8 to midnight, I'm free. Anytime you want to talk about what's going on in the market, like 8 to midnight, I'm free. But, during the day, I'm free, but it's just hard to know when. In scheduling that, I have limited availability during those times. I think clients appreciated that. They were all most of them were managing the same problems, either helping their kids with their grandkids or themselves being in the thick of it, dealing with remote schooling and whatnot that most of us had to deal with. On my journey working with my dad, it was really developing the financial planning practice, really getting next generation technology in place so we can have a lean back office and really have information at our fingertips to be able to help our clients make the most important decisions in their lives.
So, I know that from our previous conversation that we had before that you also have, and we talked about it pre-show, you like to play a little bit of golf, and I know that's a little bit difficult this time of year, obviously in Chicago, but did you play? I think I remember you played in college or high school or something on your college golf team. Do I remember that right?
Yeah. So I played a lot growing up, and I played in high school. On the high school team, I was one of the better players on my team. I went to school, and I actually worked at Golfsmith in high school. And a guy I worked at Golfsmith with actually went to Boston University and played on the Boston University golf team. One summer I ran into him. He said, you should try out for the golf team. I said, I really haven't played that much golf my first 2 years of college. He said, just go play next summer, go out, you'll have a great time. You'll get to play some cool courses. So I actually went to Colorado and did an internship at my uncle's brewery where I was helping them with their computers and bottling beer to make some money. And then going to the driving range right next door, every day after I had my beer after my shift. And, it worked out really well. I played really well. I, tried out for the golf team, and I was one of the better golfers on the BU golf team. I mean, my high school team probably could have taken my college golf team to the woodshed, but it was fun. We got to play some cool courses. The Yale golf course. We played a tournament at Yale in the pouring rain from 7,000 yards. I'm a 5'4" kid. Hits the ball 220 yards. I don't know if you ever played at that Yale golf course, man. It's hilly. It's a lot of hills, and it plays long in the rain.
I could literally only imagine. I've not had that opportunity to be able to play at much East Coast and never really Northeast, in fact. So I've got no idea. But my business partner who graduated from Harvard, he has just recently got into playing golf. And it was funny, he came into my office yesterday or this morning talking about his Thanksgiving thing. He was like, yeah, I play golf on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm like, you're playing a lot of golf. He goes, yeah, I got the bug now. So,
well, it's funny. I got the bug big time in 2019 again. And then last year I said, I have 3 goals. I want to run a great business and do a great job for my clients. I want to spend a lot of time with my kids, my family, and I want to be a scratch golfer by 50. I don't know. The third one is going to be definitely the hardest goal to achieve.
Well,
I did not have a great summer on the golf course. So, and I have a lot on my hands with a 1-year-old and a 6-year-old at home. So,
yeah. Well, and you just recently moved too. So you got that all going for you as well, right?
Yeah. But that's, moving from the city to the suburbs is closer access to driving range and golf course. So,
so that could actually help to get you to that scratch golfer by 50.
It could. It definitely could. I just need to get a hitting net in my basement. So,
well, if you've got the facilities, that's one of the best ways to do it. We out here in Phoenix, Arizona, we do what they call overseeding, where they take the Bermuda grass, because I don't know if people know or not, but it actually does get cold out in Phoenix. So they shave down the Bermuda and they put an overseeded rye, because it's a grass that grows very nice in the colder temperatures. Nothing like Chicago or Portland. I get it, guys. But it does get below freezing here, and we have frost delays and stuff like that. But when we're closed for 3 weeks. So my son, who is an aspiring, golf pro, he's, 14 years old. This year, so he didn't have to have 3 weeks of not going to the golf course, we got him a hitting net and everything, put it in the backyard, where we don't have to worry about, obviously, weather. It's really nice, during that time of year. But the hitting bay, I think it actually, when he went back to playing golf on the course, I think it accelerated and helped him keep that groove of his swing. So I would strongly suggest, if you can, to go ahead and get that hitting net downstairs in the basement, if Mama's okay with it.
It's going to take a couple of years. It will happen, but it will take a couple of years.
Well, okay, so we have this third goal of being a scratch golfer by 50, which makes how many years left until you're going to have to hit that goal?
I have over 10 years left. I'm only 39. So
okay, all right. So you got plenty.
He's an actuary. He has everything figured out.
Well, I have one friend. Friend who went from a 10 to a 1 and change this year. So in just like 2 or 3 years, he really has played a ton of golf and he's gotten a lot better. It's amazing.
Wow. There you go. So, well, speaking of actuary, I want to, I know we're coming up on a break, but one thing I want to ask you about, I'm always interested in that whole actuary thing. I mean, it wasn't like you were going to school and you're like, hey, one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be an actuary. So you are a numbers guy, obviously, right? So what types of courses are required to be certified, I guess, of being called an actuary?
Well, so I don't have to take the same exams that an insurance actuary would have to take. It's a totally different coursework. So it's called the Enrolled Actuarial Exam coursework. It's 3 exams and then, 3 years of experience in the business, I think. It's been a while since I've done that, since I did that. But, I basically did computer certifications, actuarial certifications, M.B.A, CFP. So I didn't stop school until I was 36 years old.
Wow.
And now I want to kind of I'm looking for that next certification. I wanted to take a little break, but I do want to get some more advanced certifications because it's just the hunger for knowledge and to be able to do something more for clients. It's great. That's why I search for, technology tools and different operational tools that we can use to, do more for our clients.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was always wondering about the whole actuarial thing because obviously, whenever you think actuary, you think like, some, I don't know, beautiful mind guy, right? But, you're outgoing, you play golf, you have fun. So I guess I wanted to kind of sort of break that idea that, an actuarial guy is actually a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of us like that. I know a bunch of guys who are, very personable and outgoing, and they tend to be they tend to be the most successful people in the business, the pension actuaries or the insurance actuaries who can really communicate their value. It's not about running the numbers behind the scene. It's about understanding the numbers and being able to communicate it effectively so that your clients can make effective decisions. It's the same thing in, being a financial advisor. You can run the numbers, but if you can't convince your clients of the strategies and the approach you want to take, it doesn't matter.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Brad, I want to talk to you about, your dad's like old school practice. Then you come in with all this tech background and merging tech into the old school, what that did for your guys' business. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Brad Mendel, certified financial planner, enrolled agent, yada, 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 yada.
Enrolled Actuary.
That's right. He's the next level. He's an enrolled
and I would
actuary.
say, technically, my actuarial license is under review. And it's been under review for it seems like forever. Over a year, I think.
Wow.
And I don't know. I've followed up and I can't get them to to respond on what's going on because they do an audit of your continuing education. Every they do a random selection. So 3-year periods you have to renew your certification. And I did my educational requirement. They asked for some more information because they have a new reporting system, and I haven't heard back. So I don't know. I'm not a practicing actuary, so it really doesn't matter. And this is probably my last cycle that I actually go through the renewal because, 9 years later, I should, I don't know if I need to be, really keeping that current when if I decide I want to have a pension business, I can always just, renew it and do the continuing ed. So.
Well, he's an EA, folks. He's an extraordinary American. That's what he is. Unbelievable. And, I think it's really cool is that you've really put a lot of time and effort into, getting all these designations and stuff. But it's like the thing is you're hungry for knowledge so you can take something new and then help people with it. I think that's the cool part of it. Because a lot of times some of the certifications and stuff like that don't really have, in my opinion, what I've experienced, like there's even the Series 7 and the 66, some of the stuff that I took. There was a lot of stuff in the test that doesn't even really apply to real life. I mean, it doesn't. There are some things that do, but there's things that don't. But you have to go through the gauntlet to pass those damn tests, and that shows that you actually care. Because if you want to get into the industry, it's not easy for a lot of folks. Maybe was it easier for you, being more of a? Seems like you're pretty book smart.
I learned by doing it. I learned from experiencing for sure. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more book smart in that way. Mm-hmm. But if you have somebody sit down and teach me something in a class, I generally am good at applying it. And I am good, with numbers and math and understanding those types of concepts. So, but I think, I got into the business thinking that I would have a significant advantage understanding pensions and how you could use from a tax shelter perspective for small business owners. But it's a lot harder than just having that knowledge in that business. You have to be able to have their trust first.
Yeah. I can see that because the pension's
time.
a big deal. That's a big deal. You're managing all that money. They're like, that's everybody and all my employees, myself, everything. It's not just them on the hook. It's all their employees that are trusting them to make the decision with you.
Well, the required contribution is the dirty word.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm working on a current client that I think is my first really, new startup pension plan where I can add a lot of value through the things that I know and the things that I can communicate to him and communicate to the actuary who's doing the work.
Yeah. Well, one question I before break I wanted you to get into was like your dad's old school. You come in with all this tech background, which is awesome because most financial advisors, they're not techie. I wasn't. I didn't know any of that stuff, but you have to be today, or you're going to be left behind. And that's why Carter's been so successful with his business, is because he makes that easy for the advisor, right? He allows you to do what you do best, meet with people, do your presentations. He sets all that stuff up for people to grow their business. What was it like working with your dad? Was he excited about the process of upgrading the tech? And then how'd that go about and what happened as a result?
So he was excited about having a website and having a real email address that was at mendelmoney.com.
Instead of at email or at Yahoo.
AOL.
Yeah.
And he was excited about having a shared contact like CRM system where he could put his notes in, versus just, handwritten notes. And, he's for his age, he's very tech forward. He likes using technology, but he didn't want to spend the money on a fancy portfolio accounting system where somebody did all the reconciliation for him and it was just there every day for him. So that was a little bit of a pull to get him off Advent Access and onto Black Diamond. It took me about 6 years to get him there. But he's thrilled with it. I mean, he travels a lot. He wanted to be able to work at home, work anywhere, and make it easy for himself. And once he actually did it and we did the work and we got onto Black Diamond, I think that really helped him have more freedom and flexibility to be anywhere he wants to be and still answer client questions. So I think he really enjoyed it. And then, when the pandemic hit, he was like, man, if we had never done any of this tech stuff with our files in box and our portfolio accounting platform and our email, all in the cloud, it would have been a nightmare. And so, I think he's really seen the value of that. And then also the value of continuing to make it better. We went from Money Guide Pro to Right Capital. So we got better data from our portfolio accounting platform into our financial planning program. Because what was happening is Money Guide Pro was not set up to handle individual bonds. We do a lot of individual bonds. And so it was a lot of work to manually fix all that in Money Guide Pro. And so we went to Right Capital. It all just went over very seamlessly once we got onto Black Diamond. And it just all worked really well. So we could do much more effective financial planning for clients with a lot less work upfront involved in getting all the holdings and all the details into that software. So
yeah,
it's been a journey. The first 5 years was learning. And then the last 4 years have been implementing.
Well, and I think therein lies and it sounds like the kids
are home
now. Kids are home.
Yeah, they are home now. Yeah.
Time to party. Holidays are here.
That's awesome. So it's interesting that
no, she did. Maddie, can you come back? I got about 15 more minutes. Okay, sweetheart. You want to say hi?
Yeah, you got to say hi. Come on. You're on TV. Say hi.
You're not on TV
Around
yet.
the corner there.
On TV. There they are.
There you go. Hi.
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast Show.
Happy holidays.
I'm on a TV show, Maddie. A podcast.
I want to hear.
No, you can't. Yeah. You're good. I'll play it to you. I'll play it to you when it's all produced and done. Okay, sweetie.
And you'll be part of
I
it.
don't think she like that.
We
I'm
promise.
watch it now, Dad.
She'll be bored. She'll be bored. Trust me.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Look to the first 3 seconds. You're like,
Bored quickly.
what were we doing again now? That's funny. That is awesome. Yeah. So, the chairman of the board of my estate and legacy planning company, Epic Services, actually says on a regular basis, he says, Carter, what happened in 2020 wasn't supposed to happen until 2030, right? So embracing digital transformation, as far as I'm concerned, was a no-brainer for me, about 5 years ago when we found this underutilized software that allows us to get estate planning done wherever. I mean, Tim talked about it earlier, how we helped his parents out in Portland, Oregon. They didn't have to leave the house. They just got online. We just did everything together with our team. But, technology is great. Implementing it is a whole nother story. But I was just saying today to some of my team members, I said, technology without the people and the processes won't even matter, right? The best technology in the world, you still have to have people and processes in order to enact and implement all of that stuff. So how has that worked in your practice? And have you seen that by building, the process, leveraging technology is really what it is about embracing the technology?
Well, it's learning how to leverage the technology to communicate with clients more effectively. And when you do that through a process by which you build those solutions and those presentations to talk to clients about the issues that are important in their lives. So my thing is focus on what they want to focus on and then come up with a series of recommendations or one recommendation off of that. You have your things right now, refinancing people's mortgages is a big deal still. Believe it or not, there's still people who have a 4.5% mortgage out there. But they ask questions. You get 2 or 3 questions that clients want to address. Very commonly it's, where am I going to get my money from? I'm retired. I'm like, well, you have a lot of money, but they want to know exactly the details. And so you can't necessarily just take what comes out of your financial planning software and put it in front of them. You got to kind of frame it in a way that you're focusing on what's important and addressing their questions in a way that makes sense. Because what happens over time, and this is what's happened to us, is they want to roll over their 401k. They're like, I call Brad and he helps me get my distribution done. And I call Brad with my 401k provider on the phone, and it's like, I got to fill out a lot of paperwork, and it's just very hard. And if we make it easy and we do a good job on their investments, it goes a long way. And in doing that through technology to make it more approachable is going to become even more and more important every 3 or 4 years as the people who are moving into doing estate planning age, the people who are moving into retirement age, and they want that digital access to their information more effectively. If I talk to a 45-year-old about sending me a fax, most of them are like, what do you mean fax? They want to stay, they can scan and they can email, they can DocuSign, they can do all that stuff. You talk to a 70-year-old, you kind of get a 50-50 blend there. You have a lot of them who want to use technology. I have one who wants to use technology. He uses my portal to see all of his information, but then he comes to a meeting with a handwritten, accounting of all of his assets. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're changing our portfolio accounting platform again to make it so that we can provide clients with the information that they want to see, how they want to see it, each individual. And so I'll be able to have him now just print out a piece of paper of exactly what he wants to see every time he wants to see it versus him have to go into our software or the custodian software and either make an Excel spreadsheet on his computer or write it down so he has everything in the way he wants to see it.
Well, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, I know that there was this big transaction that occurred March of 2020. You went ahead and became the owner of Mendel Money. So congratulations on that. The timing maybe not the most optimal, but, you have figured out a way to get through all of that stuff. And it sounds like to me that a lot of your clients, and what I want to know, Brad, and what the enrichers want to know is, what does your clientele makeup look like? Like, is there an ideal client makeup or demographic or, an age bracket that you tend to work more on a regular basis with, or does it run the whole gamut? Is it, from 20s to 90s for all I know?
Right now I would say our average client is between the ages of 60 and 75. And, there's not necessarily one common thread, but I would say the most common thread is that they want somebody who knows what they're invested in. They want to call us and they want to ask questions. They want us to be able to explain it to them. versus, a lot of people out there in the business, they outsource the third-party money managers, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But I'd say that's the kind of type of person who ends up working with us, because they know that they call us, we're going to know what's going on with their accounts and their assets. We're going to have financial planning strategies that are going to either make their lives easier or add value for themselves and their children. And, we're going to help them make the key decisions in their life, and that's what's important to them.
Yeah.
But they can also call and say, I need help. I'm freaking out because the stock market is down 10% last week. Talk me off the ledge. That's what we get a lot from clients, And I have a client who was a referral from an existing client whose wife said, I know you're doing it yourself. You're 70 years old. What happens if something happens to you? I have nobody who's helping me, and I got to rush to figure out what I'm doing with our money. And so she made him get a financial advisor. A year later, he's like, I love it. I don't watch CNBC. I don't look at it every day or month, and I know that I call you, you're going to call me back. You're going to help me, and that you've got everything taken care of for me. And to me, that's like what I live for. I want clients like that. I want clients who want to ask me the questions that are on their mind. When they think they have a question, I want them to call or email me, and ask me the question. I don't want the clients who hold it back and hold it back and hold it back and hold it back. And then they're upset that they're not getting the answers that they want, or they just don't think that I'm going to necessarily, be able to answer their question, or I don't know why they don't reach out. But I want clients who proactively want to work with me, and who, when I proactively reach out, they're sharing with me so I can help them make the decision that's best for themselves and their families.
Yeah, well, so I've been saying it, and I've posted this actually on my LinkedIn, I don't know how many different times, and I talk about, and I want to just applaud your efforts of understanding what you're really doing is winning what I call the relationship war, right? Clients have a lot of choices. Now, you just talked about that client that was a do-it-themselfer, that once they got a chance to understand what you could bring value to their life, you ended up actually giving them more time. And as you get older, time is the most precious commodity that these clients that you work with have. And I think that what you're doing, what it appears that you're doing, is you're really embracing the relationship part of the financial, decisions and concerns that your clients have, because they know that you're a resource that they can turn to. Is that a fair assessment?
That is. And my focus is on building processes that make clients understand the things we can do to help them. So I think that's part of why some clients don't necessarily reach out with certain things that are going on in their lives. They don't know that we can help them with those issues. And so if they don't know the different things we can do to help them, it's hard for them to know when to reach out. And so, those are the things that I'm working on with like onboarding. I know you guys have your estate planning questionnaire, which effectively learns most everything you need to know to onboard a client, which adds a lot of value to a financial advisor. We were building it out in a software called Precise FP, trying to get either us to fill it out with the client on the phone or in person, when that was a thing back in the day. And
what is that?
I know. I can't wait till those days are back. We started
totally.
to do a little bit of that, but not much. We're still, with a 1-year-old at home, we're kind of a little crazy.
Sure.
But we're back. I'm back in the office with our employees, a couple days a week. So it's just really trying to build that process to be able to gather the information either upfront or over a period of time, be flexible with the client, build a client service schedule for each client. Some clients need an end of year tax planning. Some clients don't. So why make them do it?
Sure.
It's really about, building services that fit the client and meeting them where they want to be met.
Yeah. So I say it on a regular basis that, Epic Services Company is on a mission to elevate the client experience, right? And if which that's what it sounds like you're exactly doing, you're elevating that client experience, which ultimately is going to lead to more referrals or introductions, as I call them. Those are a lot more valuable than any referral will ever. But But yeah, Brad, you're doing a lot of really, really great things there. And I think the last time we spoke, you guys were somewhere around 275, 300 million under management. And what does the future look like for you since you've got 3 big goals, which I know you want to talk about those 3 big goals here before we go to break. So, what's it looking like for the future of Mendel Money?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're 240 million, but we are adding a new advisor probably in the spring. We're still kind of figuring out the details around him leaving his current firm and joining us, who's about $50 million on top of that. So we'll be close to $300 million, and I want to service more people because I really think we add value through developing that relationship, being able to do more for our clients versus having all the compliance hurdles that larger firms have, that they have to more fit clients into boxes, so that they don't have issues with compliance at the bigger firms. So I feel like there's an advantage to being small and nimble. But I also do want to train younger financial advisors and really, be somebody who can help further the industry as a whole, because I really feel like, asking a 20-something-year-old to go out there and acquire new clients is not the right way for somebody to learn the business from the ground up. It's an important skill that they need to learn how to do. But, my thing is, as I grow in my career, I want to hire and train younger advisors, not a lot, but maybe 1 or 2. I already have one who I just hired. Really teach them how to service clients, because once you service the clients, elevate that client experience. And if they can do that for my clients, then I can work with a lot of new clients too. And then they can build their own career, get to where they want to go. And then we can move on and hire another person. And, if we're there in 10 years, another person, and really build out from the ground up with people learning how to really service and take care of clients, becoming a true fiduciary for our clients. I think in the long run, we're going to grow the practice at a nice pace and also really provide huge value to our clients, which is really my goal, is to continuously be doing more for clients. If I can add a new service every year, I want to do it.
Yeah, what you just got there saying is exactly why we started this podcast, right? We wanted to be able to give a platform for the advisors out there that we started a relationship now, right, that have a heart in helping people, because our firm that's where our foundational approach is. It's having a heart for really helping people. And the mass affluent, which is an underserved marketplace that's out there, we need more advisors like you in the industry. So the more you can train, the better off that the people in the Chicagoland area anyway will definitely be benefited from that. But, eventually, I don't know how big you expect to expand outside of that, or do you think you'll stay, just right there, in more of the Lake Michigan area?
No, I think, right now we're focused on Chicago.
Sure.
Focused on building out our process and our people, because I think that is truly super important. Once you have the process and the people, you can implement the technology to make it really effective for your clients. And just, blocking and tackling with bringing on a new advisor for the first time is going to be, a significant project. And I want to make sure that goes smoothly without affecting current client service at all. So that's my focus now. 5-year goal is to really try to build the process. And I actually am developing a little niche business. I want to help dentists, aspiring dental practice owners, with understanding their business, understanding the complexity of their life, because they have very complicated financial lives. They don't have a lot of assets to invest early on. So I'm working on developing some content, kind of a business model around serving them, their families, and their business all at the same time. Because I think, a lot of small business owners don't really understand their P&L. And I think once they understand their P&L, that's kind of the first step to them understanding the value of their own time, and being like, it's just like outsourcing. We got to outsource. We got to basically hire people to do things that are lower value work, because we have skills, we have talents that we need to fully leverage. And so if I can help train and teach those people, I'll be more effective.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Tim, I know we're coming up on a break, I'm sure, but
we're here. We are definitely
okay.
here.
All right.
So let's just do it. We'll take a break. And then when we get back, we'll flip the script and Brad can ask me any question he wants on health. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Brad Mendel, certified financial planner and enrolled actuary. Brad, I got it right. So here we're going to flip the script, buddy. Go ahead and any question you have on health for yourself, a friend, a family member, questions in general about society, go.
So I think the challenge that, obviously most of us have having, two working parents, young kids is finding time to cook ourselves food and to work out. And so, what sort of tips do you have for young families who, people in their 30s and 40s, they don't necessarily think they have to work out, but it's obviously really important to, mentally and physically stay, fit and stay in good shape for the long run. So you don't have, more, physical challenges as you age.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to think about is like when people aren't working out, like I don't have time, I've got kids, I've got a job, I'm busy. All they're really saying is that my health is not a priority. That's what it boils down to. And what I would say and I have to come strong about that because the reality is you can't get away from the fact that you are nature. And a lot of people get detached from that. And that's why we have all of our health issues. We're not like on this planet just kind of hanging out with nature. We are an expression of nature. We are nature. One of the easiest ways to look at this is if you look at the soil bacteria, the soil microbiome, as it's called, and your gut bacteria or gut microbiome. Many of those bacteria that are in the soil are also in our gut. We are connected to the earth. It's clear. It's hey, Brad, what's your body mostly made of?
Water.
Made of water. Where does water come from?
The earth.
The earth.
Yeah, the earth. Okay. So there it is. Ta-da, we've cracked the code. Now we know that we're
So you're saying drink water?
That's a pretty big one that gets brought up a lot. But whether you're young or old,
don't drink too much beer.
Well, that does have water in it, but it's been manipulated. Carter has, I don't know, maybe he's a closet beer drinker, but he drinks a lot more water now. I'd tell you that since I first met him.
Yeah, out of glass jars too. That's one of the biggest things that I learned was drinking.
Yeah, he stopped drinking out of plastic, giving himself man boobs.
Yes, exactly. Restructured water in glass jars.
Mm-hmm.
Glass jars.
Yeah.
Why glass? Plastic? Would a Yeti work?
Yeah.
I kind of have an obsession with Yetis.
Yeah, the plastics are off-gassing. So people think BPA and they're like, oh, I just get BPA free and I'm good. Well, there's BPA, BPB, BPC, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. There's like 36 of them, and they're all worse than probably BPA, right? Or the same or worse. So the reality is these are estrogen mimicking chemicals. That those plastics are made from crude oil and they're processed with thousands of chemicals. And they mimic our natural hormones, and they disrupt our hormones. That's why so many women today are having Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, these thyroid issues, and men too. And one of the reasons why we have a lot of prostate cancer and man boobs, what I was talking about earlier, right? It's estrogen mimickers from plastic. So like if you have carpet in your home, that carpet is off-gassing formaldehyde. And that's the same stuff that they embalm people with. You're breathing it in, attaches to your mucous membrane, into the throat, into the body. And then when you genetically modify foods, the GMOs, those disrupt the plant's metabolism, and then that plant starts making formaldehyde. So we're taking it in two places there. And again, we've talked about this many times on the show. That's why a lot of go talk to your local mortician that's been doing it 20, 30 years. They'll tell you more now, the older folks that are eating all these, they haven't, I don't know if they've connected the dots, but they'll just tell you a lot of the older people coming in are kind of already embalmed. There's not a lot left to do. And it's because of drinking out of plastics, breathing in carpet air, because the air is not purified in the house. It's sealed up, airtight. Energy efficient homes don't breathe, and they're sealing in these toxic chemicals. If your house was painted in the last 4.5 years, it takes that long to cure. It's off-gassing estrogen mimicking chemicals into your body. So it's these no-see-ums, Brad, that we're trying to bring awareness to people. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? So back to your question, because I want to answer it, is like, how does somebody that's got a busy schedule, they know they should work out, but they're not working out, or they're not eating that healthy, but they'd like to, but they're too busy. So what they're doing is they're just swinging by McDonald's, or, getting Chipotle, or, whatever. And they think they're healthy, or going to Subway because they think they're healthy, which is pretty much the same as McDonald's. And how do they get that pattern starting in their life? Right. So again, the first thing is putting your health as a priority, and understanding that if you don't take care of your health, look around. 3.3 trillion is spent annually in healthcare in this country, and we are the sickest people to ever walk the face of the earth. Half of us are developing cancer. That's on the rise. If we stay on current trends by the year 2050, we are going to be, 68 to 72% of people will have cancer, and that will be as common as a cold at that point. And it's already out of hand. You have 50%, right? The other 50% are dying of heart disease. So then you have type 2 diabetes and COPD and, all these other things going on, right? So, and then if you look at cancers in our children, it's really rampant. It's now the number one killer of our children from 1 to 5, and number 2 from 5 to 16, behind accidents. So what's going on here? Well, we believe that we have a tremendous amount of stress on us today, environmental stress, work stress, family stress. We're stressed out. Throw the COVID deal on top of it. There's a lot of stress out there. We were stressed before COVID hit. So stress actually creates poor chemistry in the body that deteriorates the immune system. So that's number one. So we have to learn how to manage our stress. Number 2 is we have deficiencies. The soil is about 85% deficient. So if you're eating plants that are grown in 85% deficient soil, you're going to be 85% deficient. If you're eating animals that ate the plants grown in 85% deficient soil, you're going to be 85% deficient. And then we cook, we process, we irradiate, we bag, we can, we put things in jars and heat them and do things. We nuke our potatoes. It's called despudding. We do all these things to our foods. We've denatured our food, and we're getting away from nature. We're getting away from every other living creature on this planet, except for humans and the animals we've domesticated, literally picks food and eats food. That's it. Right out of there's no can, right? It's just go to the tree, pluck it, eat it, right? When it's ripe and when it's ready. You don't eat a green apple until it turns red. It doesn't work, right? You just know that instinctively. And if you try it, you'll spit it out because it's too hard and it's it doesn't taste that good. So berries and stuff too. The other thing, are you getting some downloads? Your wife got some questions? Oh, you're on mute, brother. You have to unmute.
Do you have any health questions, honey?
No health question.
All right. Nope. She just is asking me stuff for the Hanukkah party.
Okay. We'll wrap up. So the third component is this chemical toxicity, this stuff that you can't see. Okay. The microscopic toxins from the air we breathe, the food we eat, the cosmetics, the skin cares, the harmful if swallowed toothpaste, please contact the Poison Control Center. Check your toothpaste. And if it says harmful if swallowed, please contact the Poison Control Center. You might want to rethink putting that in your mouth again, right? Just an idea, right? So for somebody that's busy, what they can do is you can buy stuff lower on the food chain. You can make big pots of soup, right? And then you can have that throughout the week. So you buy things in bulk, you make things in bulk on the weekend. You make it a fun process with the kids, get them involved, and then it can be a family bonding time. So you're actually really accomplishing something important there, which is spending time with your family, which is what a lot of people neglect, especially financial advisors and people like that are very busy with their lives. They got these very big, busy lives. And then they wake up and then all of a sudden their daughters and sons are off to college and they're like, who the hell is this adult that's eating breakfast at the table? I missed out on everything. Don't miss out on that. Breaking bread and having food together and making food together, you can start training your kids to come together, make the food, and then clean up. That way they're not a burden on you and your wife later when they just eat everything and leave a mess in plates. Like what we like.
Tim, you make it sound so easy.
Well, it is. It really is. It's fun, and it can
getting my kids to do anything other than make cookies is challenging.
Well, you just get them involved. You just get them involved. You start with cookies if you need to, right? So now when the exercise part comes in, here's how you do it. What you do is, what do you like to do, Brad, to exercise?
I mean, I love yoga and I love riding. We just got a Peloton.
Okay.
And so we've just started to get exercise back in our lives. We're doing it pre-pandemic. COVID hit, then it was hard, and then we weren't going to the gym, and we had nothing at home. We were in a condo. We had it was walking the dog was our exercise.
Okay. So when you're starting new exercises, I like to start at the lower levels. Walking is great. Hiking is great. Yoga, like yin yoga is great. Mini trampolines are excellent. Excellent. One of the best. Walking and mini trampolines are very powerful. And if you don't have a mini trampoline, you can literally just sit there and bounce your heels up and down for 2 to 5 minutes. That's a Qigong exercise. And then you twist your arms back and forth. You can look up Qigong. But the thing of it is you don't want to look at it. See, we think of it as like this burden. Like I have to work out an hour or 45 minutes or 2 hours to get the results. So you never start because it looks like this big, I can't do that. So set a recurring appointment in your phone for 5 minutes. And that's it. And then you're going to do something. You're going to go for a walk. I'm going to do it 5 minutes. That's it. And your mind will be like, I can do 5 minutes. And when you get there, you'll do the 5 minutes. And if that's all you do, great. The next day, 5 minutes. The next day, 5 minutes. You start building the habit. The habit is more important than the duration. And what you'll find out is like if you go outside to go for a walk for 5 minutes, you'll end up doing 10, 15, maybe even 20, and you're going to enjoy yourself. That habit is more important than the duration. That's always the key, right? And if you have something you can do with your wife that's fun, and you want to do yoga together, and with the kids, then there you go. You get to start doing yoga, get the kids involved. They'll be climbing all over you, having a good time stretching. You can show them stuff. I mean, they get distracted, but the bottom line is they see you doing it every day. And as they grow, they're going to develop these healthy lifestyles. So the other thing you can do is if you're not loving on self enough yet, then a lot of times we have parents look towards their kids. You are setting example. Mama bear is teaching baby bear what to do by example. She doesn't just say, go down to the river and pull out a salmon. She actually shows baby bear what to do. She doesn't say, go over to the huckleberry bush and get some huckleberry. She goes over and she eats it and then shows baby bear. So your actions are going to dictate what your children's actions are in the future. You can seed them. The first 7 years of their life is very important. That's why churches want to get a hold of kids, because they know if I can get a hold of them in the first 7 years, they can indoctrinate them into that church, then they're pretty much set for life. So it's a very powerful, children are operating in that, in a different, like, a vibrational frequency right now. It's like, I can't remember the term. It's like theta and beta. There's wavelengths going on, but they are in absorption mode and they're taking that stuff in. So you can get that, a lot of programming done now. It's very important. And it'll take a little bit of more effort up front, but the more you do it, the easier it'll get. And try to include them in everything you can, because down the road, it's going to make you and your wife's life much easier, because your children are going to be healthier. They're going to be less sick. They'll be able to, and then they're going to be able to take care of themselves. So by the time they get 12, 15, they can handle themselves. I mean, a lot of children today they're 21 years old and they can't even do anything. They don't even know what to do because they've been coddled so much, right? You need to do that when they're babies. You got to kind of protect them, but eventually you got to, and you kind of put a shroud around them. You put this, like you're protecting them. But eventually they need to break out of that shell, and that needs to fall so they can grow. They can continue to grow. So anyway, I would say,
I think my parents did that incredibly well. They gave me a lot of freedom, but they trusted me. And, I think it did help me, be more independent and do things on my own and take care of myself, learn how to cook on my own. You know, they went out to dinner. They said, you're 15, 16, you know, you can, you know, we'll buy you the ingredients. You make your own dinner.
Yeah. Figure it out.
And I loved it. I learned how to cook. I cooked for my friends when I was like 19 and we were going downtown for New Year's Eve or something like that. I cooked everybody a fancy dinner that took about 2 hours longer than it should have, but it was fun.
Yeah. So those life skills, and it's like I said, it's a great time to bond with your kids. I got a friend right now who's his daughter, one's out of college, the other one's about that age where she should be about done. But the relationships are just terrible because there was a bad relationship with mom and dad, and they just pretty much handed and did everything for them, and they're very ungrateful. He's soured about the whole thing, and you know, half the time he calls me up, he's just like, hey, I'm just gonna, you know, if they don't come around, I'm just gonna will everything to your two boys, right? Because he likes my kids, right? Because he gets pissed, and we don't want to do that. Anybody listening today, if you're on that path and you don't know your children and you don't know how to connect, it'd probably be a good idea to start learning how to connect with yourself first, and then get some books, find a mentor, you know, find an advisor. Just like, you know, you're an advisor helping other people. Get a mentor, get a coach, get somebody that can help you rebuild your family. It's so important. But hopefully that helps you answer your question. I kind of went more on the kids because you got those young kids over there, but that's how you do it, man. Just baby steps. Don't make it a big deal, but consistency is the key. Morning or evening? Whatever works for you. Get started.
So you don't think there's no difference in your mind, morning or evening?
Well, I don't necessarily think there's I prefer doing things. I like to exercise in the morning, right? Yeah. But the reality is if you look at the circadian rhythms of life, people would wake up when the sun comes up, all right? They would slowly kind of wake up, and then they would go get active in the morning. They'd be out looking for food, building things, doing things, walking, traveling, being nomadic. And then it would be in the heat of the day, they would be resting. They would probably eat, and then we'd sleep under a tree. And then as the temperature went down, then they get more active towards the afternoon. And then after 6 p.m., the digestive tract pretty much is shutting down. You only have about 20% of your digestive fire. So, and you'd be kind of moving down to slowing down. So, you know, exercise in the morning and in the afternoons are, you know, 2 peak times to do it. I think if you're looking at natural, just the way people were, you know, over thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, we've been programmed.
There you go.
Speechless.
He's speechless. He's like, I'm not even sure what to say. So there you go. Not at nighttime, but you know, it's funny earlier, Brad, you were talking about how you told your clients from 8 to midnight, I'm available from 8 to midnight. So when you were saying that, I was like thinking to myself, did he mean from 8 in the morning till midnight?
And he's going to be on that Peloton.
That was the pandemic. That was the pandemic when I might be watching my daughter because my wife's on a work call.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but you got the Peloton now, so that's I guess you can use that. I mean, we got our Peloton like right whenever the whole thing happened. We had a home gym though and everything, so that helped us to not have to worry about the gyms being shut down or whatever. But my wife's like, "Oh, this Peloton, let's get this Peloton." So I got to tell you, you got to build up a little bit of some. That seat does not feel good. So my suggestion for the Peloton, make sure you get some.
Fine. It's been fine. It's been fine so far.
All right, cool. That's awesome. Well, hey, do you have any other health questions for Tim? And I know you've got the big festivities going on, and we got to let you get going anyway. So, anything else that you want to ask before we get going?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure to be on, and a pleasure to meet you, Carter and Tim, and look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our show on either Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. And then to be able to see any of the previous podcasts, you can go to our website at thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com, www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com. For my fantastic co-host, Mr. Tim James of the Health Heroes Show and Chemical Free Body himself. Yeah, there you go. Your little shameless plug there. I want to thank Brad Mendel of Mendel Money for being on our show today. Brad, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, your backstory, and what's going on there with you and the kids. And have a happy Hanukkah and obviously the rest of the happy holidays for you and yours.
Sounds good. You too.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time on the Health and Wealth Podcast Show. Thank you, everyone. Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.